Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon to the rest of you. I want to thank everybody for being here. Today, we'll be going over our new LPR license plate recognition solution. We'll be going over the setup. We'll be going over what camera has this LPR function enabled, what recorders have this LPR function enabled, and the do's and don'ts of setting up this function. So again, I want to thank everybody for being here. Feel free to if you have any questions, to type them out in the questions area. We do encourage participation in the webinar. If you have any questions, we can answer them now and get everything out of the way. So we're going to jump right into this. The first thing that we're going to be going over is setting up the camera and going over a couple of recorders and the functions of the cameras that have this function. So the BN8037AINDAA. This is a long-range varifocal outdoor LPR bullet camera, 5 megapixel.50 it's the new H.265 compression. It supports PoE. It's got a motorized lens of 5 to 50 millimeters, varifocal, IP67 rated. The IRs are up to 200 feet. It's got an SD card ready. It's got audio input, audio output, alarm input, alarm output. It also has a 12-volt input if you're not using the PoE. Of course, it's got all the built-in analytics, including the LPR function. It's an NDAA compliant camera. It's also OMVIF compliant, and we do have junction boxes for the camera. What are some of the recorders that have this LPR function? Our first recorder is the BN NVR 4-channel 4NX NDAA recorder. It's got a 40 Mbps throughput. It's also NDAA compliant, of course. Supports up to 4K cameras. Of course, it has the H.265 compression, 4K output, 4 built-in PoE ports. Of course, it's quick connect enabled. It's got 1 hard drive bay for up to 12 terabytes of hard drive space. Of course, comes with the VMS and is also OMVIF compliant. Next, we have our 16-channel BN NVR 16NXS/NDAA. This has got a 112 Mbps throughput. Of course, 4K resolution, just like our others. The difference is this one's got 16 built-in PoE ports and has 2 hard drive bays for up to 24 terabytes of recording. Of course, it has the LPR AI function and is NDAA compliant. And lastly, our newest 32NX NDAA 32-channel recorder. This recorder has 256 Mbps throughput. It's license free. Got up to 4K resolution. Wait, stop this. Pause it. That's our 32NXS NDAA. So now we're going to go through the setup process. Give me a second. I'm going to pull up my screen on how to set these things up. Let's go directly to my recorder and show you exactly how to set this up. So here's my recorder. Now I'm going to go over a couple things. Right away, we see on the right-hand side that we have pop-ups coming up. LPR, LPD. Now I'm going to go over what the difference is, what they mean, and how to set them up. So give me a second. I'm going to go over some terminology, meaning, so LPD is what we're going to see, and LPR, what's the difference? LPD, license plate detection, means that the recorder has detected a plate and didn't get to read it. LPR is license plate recognition, meaning that it actually detected and recognized the numbers of the plate. And I'm going to go over some video here to show you it going through these processes. So this first video is the Camera zoomed all the way out, and we're going to capture this license plate at 200 feet. Here it comes. On the right-hand side, you can see right away that is detected a license plate. Right on LPD was detected. The car passes and comes through, and LPR comes through. So that's the first one. That's at 200 feet. Next, I'm going to show you guys our car going away from the camera. And this is going to be at about 20 feet detection. This is zoomed all the way out. There it goes. There's our license plate recognition and detection. Detected and recognize the actual numbers on the license plate. And lastly, this is about 100 feet, zoomed out to about 25 millimeters. Car's going to come through. There it is, right away on the right-hand side. You'll see. Oops. Try that again. So here's the car coming through. There it is. So on the right-hand side, if you look to my screen, you'll see the detection came first and recognition, and that's at about 125 millimeters. So I'm going to go into how to set this up now. In a second, I'm going to go to my main screen. Okay. So here's my recorder. Right away on the right-hand side, we're going to see, again, LPD and LPR. What can we do from this screen? LPD, license plate detection. I can play back directly from here. And it's going to take me to the license plate that was detected. Car's going to drive by right away. I see my license plate. But we want to go through the recognition functions. So recognition. If I right-click over my LPR notification, right away again, I can play back to that car that just went by and see its license plate. Very simple. Next, I'm going to go to import. I can import directly from here to my allow list or to my block list. Very simple. One click, select the list I want to add to. Okay, and I'm done. Next, I'm going to go to details. So I can see detailed information about the recorder. I'm sorry, about the license plate from the recorder. License plate information, I can also import this directly to my database. Allow list or block list. Very simple, one click away. And lastly, from the same window, I can configure my plates to my alarm list directly from that notification window. I'm going to go over how to set the alarm lists, alarm notifications and stuff like that in a second once we set this up. So now that we know what we can do really quickly from the notification drop down on the right, we're going to go and we're going to set up our database. So I'm going to come over here. We're going to go to setup, directly to AI, setup. Right away, first thing we want to do is make sure that the switch is on. Switch is enabled. Then we're going to go to setup. At the very top, channels, the channel that I'm working with, right? So I'm working with channel 2. Right below that is the snap mode, how it's going to take these pictures. We want to keep it at default is the best. Real time is a little slower, and interval is just going to take timed snapshots. We want to keep it default. So when it detects is when we're going to get actual plate detection. Okay. Next, we've got minimum and maximum pixels. What does this mean? So minimum pixels is this little tiny rectangle you see here. That's the smallest that the license plate will be detected. By default, 64 by 64 is the pixel size. Right below that is the maximum that the plates will be detected. You can see it's a much larger rectangle, and we can go all the way up to 1080 by 1080 detection area. Below that, we have the sensitivity. By default, it's about 60. I have it increased to 100 just for the sake of the webinar. I want to make sure it's detecting all the plates that do go by, just to keep it nice and smooth. Below that, we have a detection type. There are 2 types, European and American. Obviously, here in America, we're using the American license plate detection option. Right under that, we have mode. What does mode mean? So motion mode means I'm going to detect plates that are moving, which is what we want. We also have a static mode. That's going to detect plates that are still. We don't really want to use that because, like I said, we're going to use this as plates come and go. You can use it as a still option, but still those plates got to move into that section. So motion is a better option. And out of the box, default, this is how it is. Detection range. Detection range is the area that is going to be detected along the screen. Right now, by default, the whole screen is detecting license plates. But if I want to change that to customize, you can see that a square has appeared, and I can adjust this square to the only area I want to be detected. What is this for? You know, say I don't want things out of my area to be detected. I only want to detect things that are within this. Let me lower this one first. Within this rectangle here, right? You don't get multiple plates. You just get things within a specific area. But by default, we're going to do full screen. Keep that saved. Next, we're going to do dynamic markings. What is dynamic markings? Dynamic markings shows that the plate is being detected. It's going to create a little square around the plate area. As you can see that car going by. This one should have it. They're going kind of fast. Yeah, didn't get detected, but it'll show the area being detected, showing that the plate is actually there on the screen. And then LPD enhance. What is this? This is a new function. Let me save this and show you actually what it does. If you look at the screen, I hit save, and the screen gets darker. What this does, it's got a day level and a night level. You can adjust the enhanced mode to better detect plates. If there's too much light outside or it's too dark outside, this is going to give you a better range and a better ability to detect plates. I'm going to turn it off for just the sake of the webinar. And again, you'll see the screen lighten up. And so that's setting up the very simple, mostly out of the box, you're ready to go with the LPR function. So now that we've set it up, now what are we going to do with it, right? We're going to come down to recognition license plate management. What is this? This is how we add and deal with the database of the recorder. First thing we're going to do, look at our allow list, and we're going to go to edit. You can see I already have multiple plates in my database all the way down here. And there's a couple things we can do with this. I can import, meaning I can add a manual license plate from here. And I can just go, you know, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And then I can add other information like color, brand of the car, type of car, if I know the owner's name. I can just do multiple things, add multiple information to the database, allowing this person to be better described when it is detected. Out of there. Then the second thing is I can import from a CSV file. What is a CSV file? I can add license plates and just import them into my database without having to have them come through or add them manually. I can add them all on a computer, add them to a CSV file, and then import them into my recorder. Right. Next, I can import them locally. So this is all the recorded license plates that got detected from the recorder. You can notice that these ones with the green label here are already in my database, but many license plates are here. I want to add them. I'm going to select all. I want to make sure that it's from all my channels, right? And I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to import. You can see right here on the state, all these are actually added to my new database. I can exit, and now I have even more license plates added to the database. Okay, so now, what if I want to add a couple of these to my database list? I can move them from here. They're already in my allow list straight to my block list. One click. Now they're added. Very easy. I can also delete license plates that I want to do from here, or I can export this list very simply. Go ahead and export. I hit OK. I already got a USB in my recorder. I can go ahead and hit OK. These check marked items were exported. Done. Exported. Now, let's say I have multiple recorders. I have another recorder at another location or the other side of my install, and I want to add all these license plates that I just added to my database. I want to import them to my new recorder. Very simple. One click. Import database. Select it on my USB drive. Hit OK. And that's it. Done. I go back. I can check that. There it is. Imported all the database, all the license plates that the recorder just imported. Very simple. So now that we got the database set up, we've learned how to add cameras to the database, how to delete them, how to import them. Now what do we do with them? That brings us to our alarm. So we see here we have two functions. We have LPR and LPD. We talked about that in the beginning, what the two mean. Now we're going to talk about what we do when they're detected, or when we've got notifications from the two. We'll go to LPD first. We'll just go over through these columns here. License plate is detected, not recognized. What do I want to do with it? I can set an alarm out, right? I have alarm triggers. I can have the recorder set it either to my camera that has an alarm out or the recorder that has an alarm out. Latch time is how long that alarm is going to be attached to the alarm that you just received. Of course, I want it to record, and this is how long after I want it to record. I can adjust this up to 5 minutes after detection. I can have it show a message on the screen. If I have it set up to receive emails, I will get those as well. I can send pictures if I have FTP set up, and I can also do videos to my FTP. And that's detection. On the recognition side, we can see we have our lists. And then from there, we can set that to go an alarm. It's everything we just went through. Again, all the alarm triggers, what we want it to do when we get those alarms, right? And then also we have a schedule. So say that I only want this for after hours, right? So I can, from 8 o'clock a.m., on, I can turn this off, and I don't have to worry about getting a bunch of alarms and a bunch of triggers during business hours, or vice versa. I want to have it after business hours. I'm able to do so as well. I'm going to go ahead and set that back the way it was. I'm going to save it. I can also copy from there to different days and copy to different channels. Very simple. Let me get it there. And of course, you can also have this trigger recordings to different channels. If channel 1 is my LPR, it detects a license plate. I want it to record channel 4, which is facing the exit. I want them both to record when it detects a license plate. I'm able to do that as well. So that's pretty much it on setting up the functions of it, the alarm functions and how to set it up, right? So now we're going to go to, I do have a question here. What is the max speed for the camera to detect? So we want to keep it 10 miles an hour. That's a good speed. It is able to detect a little bit faster, but it's not as accurate. 10 miles an hour is our recommendation. So let's try to keep it there. We have a good detections at that speed. So let's go on. Give me a second. Let me come back here. And we are going to go over, we do have another question. Number of cars at once it can detect. So whatever's in the field of view of the camera, if there's 2 cars, normally you won't see more than 2 cars in the field of view. It will detect both. But if that first car blurs out or passes by the camera, of course, you're going to have that blocking the camera. Okay. So now we're going to do a little bit of playback. So now that I've set up my database, I have I got many license plates in there. I got them in my allow list. I got them in my block list. What's going to happen when my camera starts to detect these license plates and I start to get notifications? What can I do with them, right? How can I go back and search for these license plates? How can I see what's going on? So I'm going to come here. Right off the bat, we can always play back from our notification area right here on the right, right? So playback, right click, playback right away. Go straight to it. And there's my car going by, right? The second place you can do it is in the search. So if I go to my main menu, right above my setup is search. The first thing I want to do, you see my AI tab here. And right away, The second option is license plates. Right away, when I click that, you see many license plates show up, but that's just for today. So let's say I want to go back to the 18th. And if you're familiar with our recorders, you know that the dates that have recordings on them have little red lines under them showing that I have information on those days. So I'm gonna go back to the 18th to the 31st and search. Now I got multiple days of detection. I actually have 104 different pages that I can search from. And I can also go here and I want to search for a specific license or specific characters in a license plate. Let's go like 955. I'm going to search. And now with those characters in there, it's going to give me those plates only. You can also see that there's, again, the green highlighted plates have those plates that are already in my database. Right? It's real easy to play back from here. I can just click on a specific thumbnail and it goes right to that license plate. And to back that up is even simpler. I just highlight it, check it. You can see that my backup button is enabled. I hit that. I want to back up a recording, AVI or MP4 are the most popular. Save that. My thumb drive is already in my recorder. I can hit OK, and there it is. Backup done. That simple, 2 clicks. Very easy to do. Very easy to search from. Not hard at all. So if we have any questions, let me go see. We do have a couple questions here. Give me a second. So when I back up my database, does this overwrite everything I have there already? So what it does is it adds to your database. It's whatever's in the database is going to stay there. Whatever you've added to the database is just going to add along to whatever you have there. So that's a cool function or feature. Give me a second. Let me check these quick. Go back to, let's go back to my PowerPoint here. Okay. So we went through our recorders. We talked about how to enable these functions, how to set them up, and how to go through our database and how to get things to work for you. Now we're going to go over a couple of do's and don'ts and a couple of ideal situations for installing these cameras. The first thing is in do's and don'ts. We want to keep the camera at the right angle of detection. So like we said, up to 200 feet, you can go really high. We want to keep it at a 30-degree angle, make sure that the plates are within the field of view of the camera, right? And that's just at a dead-on view. When you have the camera in regards to angle, again, want to make sure that angle is facing the license plate. If you have a bad angle, you're not going to be able to get plates, or that's, again, when we have the license plate detection. If the angle is not dead on, we will be able to detect it, but it's not going to be able to read the whole license plate. We want to make sure that we have a good angle of detection so we're able to get those license plates very clearly. What's an ideal installation for these ideal installations? So parking lots, entry gates where they have a gate, parking structures, businesses, any places where cars might be coming through, they're not zooming through, but they're going to have to come within 10 miles an hour and plates are able to get detected. What are some of the don'ts? Like I said, again, can't emphasize this enough. 10 miles an hour, you want to keep the cameras in places where cars are within that limit. We want to make sure that bad angles of view are not restricting us from getting license plates. We want to keep the angles right on. And the last that I can't emphasize enough is that we keep the LPR as a dedicated camera. You don't have to, but we do recommend you do, because like I said, some of the functions and features that you have are set up for license plate detection. And one of the other functions that I didn't go over, I'm going to go over now, is the high beam. I don't know if I went over that, but I'm going to do it now. We have on the camera itself, we have new functions in our image control that control the IR adjustments. Come here, let me show you about this really quick before I forget. So if I come into my setup, and I'm going to go to setup and image control. All right, image control and channel 2 right here. So low beam light and high beam light. These are the IR's power adjustments. So what this does is at night, if you got a car that's coming through and the IRs are bouncing too bright off the license plate, we're able to make these adjustments. So that way, the reflective material on the license plate will actually bounce correctly off, and the camera will be able to detect that license plate. Sometimes the headlights on the car are too bright and it whites out the camera, and that's when we have the day-night adjustments on the LPR setup. But then also the IRs are reflecting off the license plates and they're too bright or not bright enough. We're able to adjust those as well. Again, this is why we want to keep this as a dedicated camera, because at night you make these adjustments, you're not going to be able to see a lot of the things coming through when you make these adjustments, and it's only going to be license plates. So again, keep that in mind in the do's and don'ts. Try to keep this as a dedicated camera. So give me a second. Let me go back to my PowerPoint here. Okay, so we went over the do's and don'ts. Let's go over some of the keynotes that we went through. Again, detection distance, 15 to 200 feet. Optimal detection speed, 10 miles an hour. Again, it can detect it a little slightly above that, but it's not as accurate. So we want to keep it as accurate as possible, 10 miles an hour. Night detection, we do have enhanced features for this. Again, this is why we want to keep a dedicated camera. What does this do? It stores license plates in a database along with snapshots and videos, so we can go back and look at those plates that got detected and do things from them. What can we do? We can allow those plates to an allow list or a block list. And because of that, we can now search the database and get alarm notifications and do things with those alarms from the notifications we get. Plates are added to the database and can be saved with specific information like color, type, phone numbers associated with the license plate, and additional remarks and details with that license plate. Again, we have enhanced features for night detection in the image control area that control the IR beam power for the high beam and the low beam. And lastly, we can set those alarm triggers again from our block list and how we want to get those alarm triggers. So if we have any more questions, I'm going to leave it open for questions. Feel free to go over any questions that you have. Please type them in the question area. Other than that, this will be available on YouTube later on today. Feel free to contact your rep if you need more information. If you'd like to schedule a one-on-one Zoom, feel free to do so as well. Again, we do have a new catalog. You can get that from our website, our 2023 catalog. And my information and Ken Miguel's information is on the screen. And I want to thank everybody for being here today, taking time out of your day and your afternoon to be with us and learn about our new LPR camera. And I'll leave it open a couple minutes for any other questions you guys might have. Again, guys, I want to thank you very much for joining our webinar. I'm going to wrap it up. Feel free to call into the office or email me or Ken or your rep if you have any other questions. And thank you, guys. Thank everybody for attending today.